Let's talk about the example that I used in the introduction and maybe just unpack this a little because, when we talk about rape cases, some people, we even sometimes shiver just using the word rape. It could be triggering for some, and if that is the case, I want to apologise for it being a triggering thing just to even talk about the issue. But some people will have this objection, and they'll say that rape is the reason why you ought to abort that child. I mentioned what your response was when you were calling out, but is this a sort of a regular type of an objection that you get when you're standing on the streets?
Yes, if anything is raised, it'll always be this one. And it's the most common thing that's said, and people just see it as a knockdown argument for us. And they think, well, if we can't answer that, then we lose. And I think it's really important that people have a clear idea of what can be said in response to that. And I think there's several things, apart from what we've already mentioned about colour of your skin and so on. I say as well, and this is one of the things I would emphasise when you have a discussion with somebody, if at all possible, just remain as calm as you can. Almost invariably, the other person will not be calm. They become highly emotional very quickly, and it's very important that you remain calm as possible so that you can try to have a conversation. But I think you can point out for a start and ask them, well, if abortion were allowed for rape instances, would you then be opposed to all other instances of abortion? And they say, oh, no, of course not. I say, well, why do you raise this particular one? And they only are using it as a means to try to see if we're going to be consistent or not, because it's not as if they are going to say, oh, yes, if abortion were allowed for rape, I'd be opposed to everything else. They're not. They want abortion allowed for every reason. But so to get them to see that this is not the real issue for them, they just want abortion allowed. But to then go on and point out several other things, that the assumption is that abortion is not a bad thing for the woman, and point out to them that the woman who's conceived in rape, she has been a victim of a terrible assault, and we have to give every sympathy and compassion to her and full support for her, short of enabling her to end the child's life. Abortion does not help that woman. She then becomes a victim a second time. She's been raped, and now she becomes the victim of an abortion as well. And so she's hurt twice. And so we need to point this out, that it is not as if a woman who's been raped and becomes pregnant has an abortion and then it's all healed. It's not. She now has two things to heal from. And in fact, studies have shown that women who have been raped and conceived, who then go on to allow their child to live, cope better than the women who have had abortions, because they feel that they've been violated a second time by the abortion, whereas the other women who allow their child to live feel that at least some good has come from this because they now have a child. If they are unable to cope, though, with raising that child themselves because it brings back memories of what they have experienced, then, of course, they can have the child adopted. And so it is wrong all around. Everybody loses if abortion is seen as a solution to a rape case. It is not. The child loses their life. They have done nothing wrong. As we've said, why should a child die for the crime of the father? And that is literally what is being done. We don't kill the rapist, but we will say, but we will kill the child. How can that make any sense? Where's the justice in this, that we will take an innocent child's life, whereas the rapist is not killed? We shouldn't kill in order to try to solve a problem. That never helps.
It is very, very challenging, and it is one of those issues. You might even have some concerns around that. You might like to call in. I want to open our talkback line on 1800 316 316, 1800 316 316. You might have your own question around some of the things we've raised already. There might be a whole lot of other issues that you might have been facing in a conversation and you've thought, oh, I wish I had a good answer, a good comeback to that. So 1800 316 316. Our special guest is Graham Preston, And our conversation continues in just a few moments.